Very much today for attending my presentation here at NRA Carry Guard. This is Concealed Carry Skills Beyond the Gun. Dun, dun, dun. And there's a slide build. How cool is that? When we start concealed carrying, many people fall into the hardware trap. And my purpose in this class is to expose you to thoughts and considerations beyond simply the pistol, the holster, the bullet. Because there are so many layers to this exercise of this very basic and yet complex right. Now here's a quick blurb on me. It doesn't mean much, I think. It's all on the internet. I was captured there in one of my more sedate moments on the range. A parental advisory has been issued. Sir, does your mother know that you're here today? Okay. I'm going to tone down to about an R rating for me, okay? But I have a video that uses very explicit language, and there's actually a reason for it. Criminals don't say, "Pardon me, sir, have you any Grey Poupon?" They don't. They will use language as a weapon with which to shock you into inaction and to create a reactionary gap. And into that gap is where they will inflict their will upon you. Who's the general?
That's not Patton, is it?
That is, in fact, George. You are, in fact, a Naval Academy graduate, aren't you?
No. Rotsy.
All right, well, there you go. Yes, that was General George S. Patton.
It doesn't look like George Scott at all.
You're killing me. You're killing me. Why we are here, the vast majority of permit holders, and there are now, according to Dr. Lott, who's upstairs, about 15 million people in America today that exercise their right of self-defense and have sought a permit. And when you factor in other states that don't have permit requirements, the number's probably even higher in people who actually pursue the right in that regard. The vast majority, however, get minimal training. In Virginia, you can take a 4-hour online class, click your way through it, get a certificate, and off you go, off to the gun store. There you go. And I actually have sympathies for that, but I concur. The vast majority rarely practice. A big year for people who aren't really have adopted the lifestyle is about 300 rounds. It's a big year. That's about two trips to the range. They are unaware of what they don't know because they have not been exposed to anything beyond that basic class and that trip to Cabela's or the gun store. And tend to vastly overestimate their skill level, which usually will reveal itself when they come to a class and they're subjected to decision modeling or performance standards on the form of a shot timer and accuracy standards. That's when suddenly vast swaths of unknown are revealed. I have a gun. I use this picture to illustrate a couple of things. This was taken in Haiti circa 1994. What you have here are 2 U.S. Army soldiers. They had this man under some form of detention or custody. I'm not sure what's going on here. But what I am sure is this. When you look at that man's face, does he project confidence to you? What is he showing? He's terrified. Now, the military no doubt taught him how to shoot that Beretta. He can load it, unload it, reload it, reduce malfunctions, and hit a target with it. He had a skill, though, that was devoid of context. He never anticipated being in a situation where people may not be impressed with this pistol. I've experienced this up front in person. A gentleman in Somalia had an AK, and I drew down on him, and I said, "Put the gun down! Put the gun down!" So I yelled louder to get better compliance, and I was starting to work that trigger back. And then he did the most disconcerting thing he could have done. Something I could not have anticipated. He smiled at me. Because this is Mogadishu, we point guns at each other by way of saying hello all the time. Silly guy. So, going back to this fellow for a moment, see how his eyes are over here and the gun is over here? Someone could reach out of his line of sight, snatch that pistol from him, and beat him with it before he could react. There's that. So, if you have a gun, what you actually have is a holster full of consequences. If that pistol comes out, even for a display, you have employed force. And it's a highly consequential solution to a very narrowly defined legal problem. And that's why we would all benefit to have skills beyond the gun. If your only tool is a hammer,
Is his car disabled? Why is he not driving?
Let's go! Let's go! Take a fucking video! Take a fucking video, cut! You fucking whore, bitch cut! Let's go! Come on! Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Let's go! Let's fucking go, kid! Let's go! Stare ass bitch! Get the fuck out of your truck! Stare ass bitch, motherfucker!
good soundtrack to this one. But watch what's about to happen here. Is that man anywhere near his rational mind?
No. If he ever had one.
Is this a shooting problem?
No, not yet.
So then there's an eloquent argument to the point we need skills to handle this beyond the gun. In this case, keeping his cool. He recognized he had the barrier. Could it have become a shooting problem potentially?
Yep.
Yes, it could have, but it had not risen to that occasion. You ask why didn't he drive away? Probably waiting for law enforcement to arrive. If you leave the scene of a crime or an accident, suddenly his story becomes much more credible than yours. But that can become an option. Obviously, it could become an option. A couple of other things we can take away from this. You'll notice he did a lot of this. Why did we do that? Well, we look bigger. You're smarter than you look. That's a relief. All right. It's like a cat puffing up its fur. Also, moving major muscle groups releases testosterone. Vitamin T, they call that. Now, look at his body posture here, and look how his face is now flushed red. All right, that is another part of body alarm reaction. And that is his body is essentially moving the blood into his major muscle groups. And no doubt his heart rate is up, his respiration rate is up. But the sum of all that is he's driven himself beyond the point of distraction. He's no longer rational, remotely. Over a fender bender. Now, if you must know, this took place aboard Camp Pendleton. That was a Marine. The woman he addressed using that particular term, which was never used, was a Marine as well. And he took a pretty hard ride in office hours for this. He spent some time on reduced rank. That was as far as it went. But I wanted just to illustrate the point, recording skills beyond the gun. So ultimately, this requires a lot more than a 4-hour class at Cabela's and maybe some mouse clicking online. And here's my purpose here. I want to inform you, I cannot educate you in 1 hour of particular skills, but I can show you things that you should start thinking about beyond the gun. Pretty brilliant title, I thought. In my mind, the number one skill, if you're going to start carrying a concealed weapon, is to know yourself. And I will introduce you to the fact that there are actually two yous here, you lovely people looking at me right now. The human being you. These are the elements of what make you an actual human being. Separates us from the animals. It's the sum of your life experiences, your inhibitions, what you've learned, your values, your intellect. Dude, I'm sorry, it's just not everybody gets more than 55 IQ points. It's all right. Your ethics, your motivations, your personality, your family, your adherence to societal mores, and your ego. And please notice that's in all caps. Because I want to put this concept before you right now. Gun goes on, ego comes off. We have to operate completely devoid of ego when we are armed. Now, I would make this point as well. People talk about everyday carry. And that's what they'll do the pocket dump on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Here comes the pistol, and the holster, and the knives, and the pepper spray, and the rocket launchers, and the tourniquets, and all the other stuff that they carry. That's the everyday carry. I think this is much more your everyday carry because this is who you are everywhere you go. Now, the human animal part of you, and we have physiological responses to stress and various stimuli. Some people refer to it as the chemical cocktail. Under stress, some muscles get squeezed, our glands get pushed a little bit, all these wonderful chemicals start coursing through our veins. And this can have a significant impact on how we perceive things and how we can perform in that environment. For instance, one common phenomena is called tunnel vision. Right now, I've got this much vision. If you gave me a second or two and point a gun at me and yell at me a little bit, all I'm going to see is this. Tunnel vision. This is why a lot of reputable shooting schools, you'll shoot a drill, you go finger straight, muzzle down, you look around. Essentially, you're moving your periscope back and forth, looking for additional threats. And after a period of time, usually 5 to 7 seconds, the veil will lift and you will regain your peripheral vision. The shakes. Some of these chemicals which are released are neurochemicals, which means they interact with our muscles and our nerve system. When they're burned off, muscles just kind of twitch and move like that. You might recall also from your days of high school athletics, that butterfly feeling in the gut. I've had incidents in my life sometime even after which I got shakes. I'm sure in naval aviation, how many times have you done a night landing and you're cold and clammy, and maybe when you're walking down the passageway to your berthing space, you got a little, like, holy geez, the boat was really moving tonight, wasn't it?
I had that in a car.
Well, now you're jumping in an airplane? You ain't right. Rapid shallow breathing. Body alarm reaction. Respiration rate goes up, heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up. Auditory exclusion. We learn primarily visually. And if there's significant overwhelming stimuli, we'll just turn the volume off. These things happen. Last is called tachypsychia or tachypsychia effect. These chemicals affect our brain, and it impacts how we can judge distance, movement, and size. And it's how things are being written essentially to our short-term memory. Now, here's something I've learned over the days, years of study. It takes 3 complete sleep cycles to really formulate the memory of an event. Now, how does that impact us if we are being pressed to give a statement immediately after having to defend ourselves? Exactly, you haven't processed it yet. And this is why, what do we say? I'll be glad to cooperate after having consulted my attorney. So there's a skill beyond the gun, the law. We'll discuss a bit more of that as well. I've experienced all of these, some in bits and pieces, and I'm not saying every event for everyone will have the same thing. The first time I can recall having this experience was I was rabbit hunting with my grandfather and my brother. And we were out with Daisy Mae, the Wonder Beagle. And she had a rabbit, she was driving a rabbit. And I came over a small rise, and there was a rabbit trail there in the snow. And presently, sure enough, here came Peter Cottontail popping on the bunny trail. So I remember I locked eyes on my mortal enemy. Things slowed down. I looked to the right. I saw my grandfather and my brother were outside the field of view. I cocked the shotgun, brought it up, fired it, didn't feel the recoil, didn't hear the shot. The snow around the rabbit churned up from the shot. The rabbit flipped a few times and laid there still. I immediately reloaded because sometimes they charge when they're wounded. I saved the shotgun. My grandfather came up, made sure the bunny rabbit was dead, put it in my little game pouch. And I was the third generation to have worn that pouch and provided for the family. But I had experienced some of these physiological reactions to that kind of, I won't call that a near-death experience, but it was certainly it was beyond near-death, and it was tasty. Now ask yourself this, are you the type that goes out, maybe drinks to excess sometimes? You go out for just one beer, and you end up with 2 or 3 or 4. Are you the same person after those beers? Do you publicly comment on behavior? I've got a video of an incident that took place in a pizzeria in Chicago around 2 o'clock in the morning. And someone cut in line, another gentleman made a comment on that behavior, and that led to a horrific beating. A horrific beating. I'm not saying you have to just roll over and take every transgression against you, but you certainly have to weigh it against the fact of potential outcome and the fact that you're armed. Somebody has to adult. Adulting can be hard. Are you highly competitive? Do you dash for that parking spot? Do you dash for it? Or you're at the checkout line? If you are, well, then you can inadvertently cut someone off, and that can lead to an exchange. Do you point at people publicly? I was at a gun show years ago with a potential Mrs. Murphy. She wasn't packing the gear, well, anyway. There was another couple there. It was a punk couple. They were all spiked out, the tie-dye clothing and whatnot. She's like, oh, look at that. I'm like, put your hand down. That's rude. And also, they are of my tribe. Okay? They are at the gun show. These are my people.
Amen.
All right? I don't care. Do you take offense easily? I live in Northern Virginia right now and have for some time, and I've come to determine the shortest amount of time that can be measured by man is the amount of time from when a light turns from red to green and someone behind you honks. It can be nanoseconds. I'm sure of it. Some people get very offended at that point. There was an incident in the not too distant past in a drive-through in a fast food place. There was a horn honking, which then turned to digital communications, which then turned to a gunfight, and someone got shot dead. It's where we are right now. Are you hypersensitive? Do you overshare information?
Yeah, geez. Yeah. Shoot me first.
If this is the case, you should reconsider your lifestyle, particularly if these are your friends, the drama llamas.
John,
Yes, sir.
are you going to make this presentation?
Oh my God, I've got my heart and soul in these things. I'll tell you what, grab my card on the way out. I will make a PDF and send it to you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's too much to put down in writing. Huh?
I know, it's amazing, every bit.
It's good stuff.
And my humility on top of it, it's just overwhelming. I was derailed. Okay, I'm back now. All right, so there's a term that's been used for a long time in the self-defense community, or the defense community, is sheepdog. I'm a sheepdog, and the sheep are afraid of the sheepdog, because I'm a sheepdog. Well, if you're going to be a sheepdog, you better not have Chihuahua skills. Here's an issue right here. This took place out in the West Coast, Washington, I think, on public transportation. An emotionally disturbed gentleman was harassing and haranguing two young girls of the Muslim faith. All right? 3 other gentlemen decided to intercede on their behalf, thinking, well, we're rational human beings with intellect. Surely he'll see things our way. They made the fatal mistake of projecting their values upon him. He pulled out a knife and killed 2 of them much quicker than I can describe it to you, and grievously wounded a 3rd. This next incident took place in Norfolk. This man was attending a party. There was a knock on the door as a woman wanted to use the phone to call for help. They declined her entry. This gentleman thought, you know, this is just like out of a movie. We're going to get robbed. So he went back to his apartment, retrieved a gun. Came back to the apartment, and sure enough, shortly thereafter, the door got kicked in, and a guy announced a robbery. Well, this gentleman drew his pistol and said, all right, put your gun down, put your gun down. Guy said, sure, okay. Bam. Gut shot him. He died there in front of his friends on the floor of his apartment. Now, let's talk about action versus reaction and how that pendulum can swing. And 99.9999999 times out of 10, action will beat reaction. This guy's action was to threaten force. The criminal's reaction was to employ it. Now, that's one method of measurement of time. Here's another one I'd like to introduce you to is time and timing. If we go to the range enough, we'll buy a shot timer. Those things, they're great, but don't let them become the be-all, end-all. Because we all love to know exactly, when we're perfectly ready, beep, how quickly we can get a couple of shots off. Because it gives us an excellent digital readout of how we can perform that one task. Well, that one task is time. Timing comes into play is in the course of an incident, when do I employ that skill? Right. That's timing. Time and timing. Crucial elements to what we do. Can you commit to training yourself? And I'm talking more, maybe 1 or 2 courses a year, and then practicing in between. And it doesn't have to be live, it can be dry fire practice. Training your family. If you're out with your significant other, your spouse, whoever, what's the plan for that person if something goes wrong? Do you have one? Otherwise, that person can easily become a liability or something you have to really move to protect, which is, well, still requires planning. It's time and effort spent, not just in actually acquiring these skills, but in acquiring the money to buy the classes. I mean, I very much appreciate this classroom right now. You people may not know this, but you represent the almost the very pinnacle of firearms owners in America. Because you have made the effort to travel from wherever you came from to lovely Milwaukee, the Hawaii of the Midwest, in order to expose yourself to this excellent training. Not many people do that. The money. I know one young lady in my life who's lost friends over this. Her adherence to self-defense. That's where we are. Can you adopt the avoidance lifestyle, being the gray man, swim in the middle of the school of fish, not dress ostentatiously and drive with back of your car with "I am armed" and whatnot? We all like to rep a little bit. I have my American flag and my Marine Corps symbol up there. But if we go much beyond that, well, even that can become enough to get somebody ill-wanted attention, shall we say. Can you hurt someone really bad with little or no warning? Let alone end someone's life? Can you divorce yourself from a situation where you can act decisively based upon reason and law, not your ego? It's profound. That is a tough one. Keep your wits in intense situations. Toward this end, beyond that basic class or shooting classes, seek out training that puts you outside of your comfort zone. Force-on-force scenarios. And it doesn't have to be shooting each other with paintballs or whatever. It could be merely managing, sir, would you stay right there, please? Managing a street encounter with a panhandler. It doesn't have to be violent. And can you forgive yourself when you fall short, as you inevitably will? Last week I was driving halfway to work. I forgot my spare magazine. I got in a rush. You see, when you get used to it, every time I go out the door, I have X on my person. And there I was without part of X. Obviously, it was a low order event, but still, I put the cat o' nine tails to myself a little bit. Let's define this issue a bit. First, let's derive our mindset and our mission from this. And this first gentleman is a Canadian Army infantry soldier, and his mission is to locate, close with, and destroy the enemy by firing movement, or repel his assault by firing close combat. That is not our job, is it? No. This fine young fellow, his mission is to enforce the law, capture criminals, and serve society. And finally, we have this lady and her child, and her mission is to thrive as a law-abiding citizen. Period. She wants to take full advantage of this wonderful society that we've built. So what does she need to be? What kind of real skills does she really need? She needs situational awareness skills. And there are components to situational awareness. I'll discuss a bit more, but just more than just beyond what's going on around you. What looks right, what doesn't look right. Appropriately trained and equipped. She would be well served, I think, with just a simple pistol or revolver, maybe pepper spray. She doesn't need a rocket launcher, flamethrower, repelling rope. This is crucial, and it's part of the situational awareness, to recognizing threats and dangers as they're evolving around you. The number one indicator of an impending interaction with someone is very simple. It is merely they're orienting on you and deliberate motion towards you. Hey, sir, can I ask you a question? Who here has been panhandled that way? Can I ask you a question? That's a classic one. There are others out there. Can I get a light? Or this, I'm a little bit lost. Can you help me out? I'm new here. And they're pointing out the affectation of being very vulnerable, when actually all they're doing is negotiating proximity to you. Finally, once you recognize that situation is developing, you have to have the skill, the capacity, the wherewithal to undergo decisive action and leave, if at all possible. Extricate yourself from that evolving situation. And a lot of people will engage in willful disbelief. This isn't happening right now. This can't be happening. I would highly commend to you to subscribe to John Correa's Active Self-Protection YouTube channel and watch those videos.
This seminar here is terrific.
Yep, I'm a long-time fan. And there's a science to it called recognition-based decision modeling, or recognition program decisions. It's a form of vicarious experience. And you can take it on board and learn from it and formulate your plans. We'll talk about that. I'm getting carried away. Anyway, pardon me, ma'am? It's a YouTube channel, Active Self-Protection. My pleasure.
Steve Tarazi goes into detail as to what it takes to recognize people that are...
He's a smart dude. He's almost smart as I am. Anyway, getting to the very center of this issue is you, your inner circle, your family, you and yours. Beyond that, we have the threat. This is our actual motivator. What is forcing us to plan for these contingencies? Well, the environment consists of the physical environment, the cultural environment, and the emotional environment. For instance, the physical environment, this room, rather a large room, has 3 avenues of ingress and egress, 3 doors. Has 4, holy cow, good for you, situationally unaware. This will look great on YouTube, well done, pal.